This man just underwent the experience of a lifetime. He was walking through the dense woods when he came across a baby bear who was trapped in the rapt currents of a wild river. He could have walked away, but decided to risk his life and save the bear cub. And eventually he did. But then the mother bear found him and did something bizarre. The man who discovered this cub and later his wild mother lived a lonesome life. He filled his days reading and traversing through the wilderness. He liked it that way, just him by himself. That's why at the age of 30, he built his cabin in the woods, a place he called home for the last 21 years, deep in the most remote part of the Appalachian forest, where the sun rarely pierced the dense canopy, and the air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. Miles away from the nearest town, the forest was a sanctuary to countless creatures that had long called it home. It was here that a man named James made his living, eking out an existence as a part-time wildlife photographer and part-time forest ranger. On that particular day, James had decided to venture deep into the forest to explore a rarely visited region. He had heard whispers of a wild river that flowed with a fury that few had ever witnessed. He hoped to capture the untamed beauty of the river on his camera, knowing that such a sight would be a prize in his already impressive portfolio. As he walked, his boots crunching on the carpet of leaves beneath his feet, he could not shake the feeling that something was amiss here. The forest was eerily quiet, the usual cacophony of birdsong and the rustling of small mammals almost entirely absent. It was as if the entire forest was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The silence was unnerving, and as much as James tried to shake the feeling, it clung to him like an invisible shadow. The further he ventured, the more he felt drawn to a faint sound in the distance, a sound that was nearly imperceptible but grew more insistent the closer he got. As he pressed on, the sound began to reveal itself. A desperate whimpering, crying out for help, stirred a mixture of curiosity and concern in James as he hastened his pace, determined to find its source. Drawing nearer, he was met with a sight that both terrified and exhilarated him. The wild river he sought. Its furious roar nearly deafened him, waters battling jagged rocks along the banks. Amidst this scene, on a small island of rocks, shivered a tiny bear cub. Soaked and trembling, its fur plastered to its skin by relentless spray, the cub's wide eyes pleaded for aid with each pitiful cry. James couldn't ignore the helpless creature. Despite the risks, he couldn't abandon it. Aware of the mother bear's protective instinct, he weighed the dangers against the cub's life. Resolved to act, he surveyed the area, planning his rescue. Feeling the urgency grow with each passing second, James rummaged through his backpack, retrieving a length of sturdy rope and a carabiner. Securing the carabiner to his belt and one end of the rope to a sturdy tree, he tested its strength before descending into the icy river. The frigid waters threatened to overwhelm him as he braced himself against the current. Struggling against the slippery rocks and relentless water, James pressed forward, inching closer to the stranded cub amidst its desperate cries. He approached cautiously, murmuring soothing words to convey safety. With great care, he lifted the trembling creature, feeling its heartbeat against his chest. Retracing his steps, James battled the current, clinging to the rope guiding him to safety. Reaching the riverbank, James set the cub down, relieved and triumphant. They shared a moment of connection before James guided the cub through the forest, allowing it to regain strength. Despite parting ways, James felt a lingering unease, mindful of the mother bear. As he made his way back, a sense of being watched unsettled him. Initially dismissing the feeling as paranoia, James continued on his path, but grew increasingly convinced he was being watched. The rustle in the underbrush heightened his anxiety, and he sensed the presence of the mother bear, a formidable force in the forest. As he pondered whether she perceived him as a friend or a threat, fear gripped him, intensifying with each passing moment. The tension in the forest thickened, and James felt as if he walked on a tightrope. When the mother bear finally appeared, her growl resonating with power, James stood frozen, his life hanging in the balance. However, to his astonishment, she ceased her growls and lowered herself, her demeanor less threatening. As she approached, James braced himself, only to witness something unexpected unfold. She dipped her head, nudging her massive snout gently against James's hand in a gesture that was unmistakably one of gratitude. It was a moment that defied all logic, transcended the barriers of language and species, and united them in a bond that was as primal as it was profound. Tears welled up in James's eyes as he slowly reached out. He hesitantly placed his hand on the bear's broad forehead. He felt the warmth of her skin beneath her thick fur. As he stroked her gently, the mother bear let out a soft chuffing sound, a contented sigh that resonated deep within him. For a long moment they stood there, man and beast, their lives intertwined in a way that neither could have ever imagined. They were two creatures from vastly different worlds, bound together by a shared experience that had brought them closer together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the forest in a warm golden glow, James knew that it was time for them to part ways. He took a step back, his hand lingering on the mother bear's forehead for a moment longer before letting go. The bear regarded him with those wise, knowing eyes, as if she understood the significance of their encounter. With a final, lingering look, the mother bear turned and lumbered back into the forest, disappearing among the trees as silently as she had arrived. James watched her go, his heart swelling with a mixture of awe and gratitude for the incredible connection they had shared. As he made his way back to his camp, the forest seemed to come alive around him, the sounds of the night creatures filling the air. He walked with a newfound sense of purpose and connection to the natural world, the profound experience with the mother bear forever etched in his memory. The encounter with the bear had changed something within James. It had shown him that even the most fearsome of creatures were capable of understanding, gratitude, and of love. It had taught him that beneath the surface, all beings shared a common thread, a connection that transcended the boundaries of language and species. The story of James and the mother bear would become a legend, a tale that would be passed down through generations. It would serve as a testament to the power of empathy, of the ability to see beyond the surface and find common ground, even in the most unlikely of places. And as for James, he would continue his work as a wildlife photographer and forest ranger, his experiences with the mother bear and her cub shaping his approach to his life's work.
If this story touched you as much as it did us, you should watch this video. Shelter Dog won't stop crying when Vet realizes why he does this. Click here to get the full story.